People say you're a hero, but the heroes are the people on the front line of the military and the police, and that they're heroes. It costs me nothing and it doesn't hurt, so I go along.
The stories of James Harrison and Zachary Meyer, this week on Upvoted by Reddit. Welcome to episode 8 of Upvoted by Reddit. I hope you all enjoyed last week's episode on Double Dick Dude. I know, but trust me, this is not at all what you expect. If you have not listened to it yet, you should. His AMA, of course, on Reddit pretty much won the internet that day, and you can read all about those NSFW questions you may want to have answered. But this interview that we did last week is nothing like it. We learned so much more about Clark, the person. At least that's what we're calling him. We still don't know his real identity. So he's a very private individual, but we learned so much about him and his story, and it really hit home with a lot of you, not just me, but also so many of you on the Upvoted subreddit who left comments, as well as people who reached out on Twitter. It just clearly affected a lot of you, and I'm so happy we could bring you a story like that. This week on Upvoted, we're going to cover two completely different types of stories, but that share a common theme around giving. The first story I saw bubble up about 2 years ago on the community Today I Learned. Now, this post by a user named TryHardDieHard caught my attention. Today I learned that after needing 13 liters of blood for a surgery at the age of 13, a man named James Harrison pledged to donate blood once he turned 18. It was discovered that his blood contained a rare antigen which cured rhesus disease. He has since donated blood a record 1,000 times and saved 2 million lives. We got a chance to speak to James and several members of the Australian Red Cross to discuss this story. Now, keep in mind that all these interviews were phone calls recorded halfway across the world, so please excuse the rougher sound quality for this story. But before we hear from James, let's flip on the smooth jazz and take a moment to talk about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. They're the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. Squarespace designs are extremely user-friendly. Their drag-and-drop templates are easy to use, and they have everything you could ever need. I'll put it this way. Culture Shock from episode 6 recently redesigned their website with Squarespace, and it looks great. If they can do it, so can you. You can start with a free trial at squarespace.com with no credit card required. And once you've given it a test drive, you can decide on whichever plan you'd like, and then get 10% off with the offer code UPVOTED at checkout. That's squarespace.com, offer code UPVOTED. This episode is brought to you by Ting. Nobody is a fan of major mobile providers, their overages and ridiculous long-term contracts. But Ting is an awesome mobile company with no contracts, where you only pay for the calls, texts, and data that you actually use, with no overages. So, if you don't use mountains of data, this is a great way to save a lot of money on your phone bill. Their average phone bill is only $23 a month. It's no wonder that so many Redditors love Ting. A user named Deathbringer14 wrote, "Just wanted to thank Ting for being the most customer-friendly company I've ever had the pleasure to do business with. That said, they've kind of ruined me. Poor interactions I've been having with other companies are 10 times worse because I know what it's like to be treated well." Not a bad endorsement. Redditors seem to thoroughly agree. This post was actually gilded, and it got over 400 upvotes. It even made Reddit's best of list. It's pretty impressive. Ting works with 80% of devices and even has an early termination fee program. That's an ETF in the mobile biz, in which they'll pay 25% of your ETF up to $75 for every device that you switch to Ting. For $25 in Ting credit or $25 off a new device, go to upvoted.ting, that's ting.com. That's upvoted.ting.com.
My name is James Harrison from the Central Coast of New South Wales. I'm a blood donor. I donate my plasma to ward off the anti-D I've been donating for 56 years.
James isn't just an ordinary plasma donor, but rather part of an instrumental program to eradicate rhesus disease in Australia. To provide us with a little background on what rhesus disease is, here's Tim Wong from the Australian Red Cross.
People have different blood groups, and there's a number of different types of blood groups, and the main one people are aware of is the A, B, O blood group. All of us are A or B or O or AB. People might also be aware of the plus or minus bit. So you might be known as A positive or B negative. That plus or minus bit is part of what we call the rhesus blood group type. And when a mother happens to be rhesus negative, so it could be B negative or A negative, etc. And if she happens to have a baby in utero, a fetus, who is the positive blood group, so that could be caused, for example, by her partner being a positive blood group. So if the mother is negative and the fetus developing inside her is positive, it's possible for a little bit of the baby's blood to cross into the mother. And we all know that when you have a blood transfusion, you need to match blood groups. That's to stop antibodies developing. So if the baby's blood, baby's positive blood, passes into the mother, even just a little bit, it can cause the mother to develop antibodies that we normally hope to prevent. If that happens with a first baby, the second time the mother has a baby, those antibodies that the mother has developed, the mother's immune system remembers that. When another baby comes along, the mother can develop these antibodies which can then attack the second baby, the second fetus, and those antibodies can cause a number of different diseases in those babies, ranging from mild to severe. But in the severe cases can cause death and very severe lifelong chronic illnesses and problems for the baby. It doesn't happen for the first baby, but if it does occur for the mother, then it can affect subsequent babies.
Rhesus disease causes severe anemia and what is referred to as hydrops. Hydrops results in severely swollen babies from an excess accumulation of fluids, which can lead to miscarriages. Prior to the mid-20th century, the only treatment for this disease was hope. Once humanity gained further understanding of different blood types, the fight to eradicate Rhesus disease became a more calculated process.
The Rhesus blood group was discovered only in 1937, I think, by a couple of scientists, Karl Landsteiner and Alexander Weiner. And I think they went on to win Nobel Prizes for their discoveries. I think it was first noted only a couple of years later, in the late 1930s, that some babies had been stillborn due to this disease. The proposal for the immunisations really only began in the 1960s. So once this idea came about, it really moved very quickly.
In 1967, the Australian Red Cross set up a program to eradicate Rhesus disease, and James Harrison became a pillar of that program. His importance in the fight against Rhesus disease may not have been realized if it weren't for a fateful experience that happened when James was 14.
Well, way back in 1950, I had major chest surgery, and I received, I think they said, 13 litres of blood. So when I came out of the anaesthetic and was talking to my father some probably weeks later, and he being a blood donor himself, I said, well, as soon as I'm old enough, which was 18 in those days, I become a donor, and I started donating 2 days after I turned 18, and I've been donating ever since.
This experience wasn't just important because it encouraged James to become a blood donor, but also because the blood transfusion he received made his body develop an antibody that was perfect for this Rhesus immunization program. To speak on this further, here is Zhao Ming Gibb of the Australian Red Cross.
When this project was set up in 1960s, they tried to recruit blood donors who already had this very antibody. James Harrison developed this antibody when he had operation, and during that operation, he needed some blood transfusion. James Harrison obviously is Rh negative, and but he received Rh positive blood. Although the blood was incompatible, it was okay because developing antibody is a very slow reaction. So obviously that transfusion saved James Harrison, but as a result, James developed this very antibody called anti-D antibody. So when this project was set up, James Harrison was already a blood donor, so they knew that he had this very antibody. So he was the first donor recruited onto this a project.
And at that time, the Red Cross recruited a number of male donors who had this anti-D antibody in their blood, had it because of either blood transfusions or other exposures, and decided that if we harvested their anti-D antibodies through blood transfusions, we'd be able to refine that and create a vaccine for these mothers to prevent them from having this problem with their babies. And it's been a spectacular success, and it's grown in Australia and also around the world. And it's really become standard treatment now for all affected mothers.
And then he stayed on this project till this day.
The program was a huge success, and rhesus disease is now easily preventable in most developed countries. James has made over 1,000 blood donations, and his blood has been used to save the lives of over 2 million people, according to the Red Cross. Yet, James and his family paid a price for their fight against rhesus.
My own daughter had to get an injection of what I produced, and then my late wife, she became a anti-D donor. Any woman past childbearing age, a negative blood group, can get an injection of positive red cells, then become an anti-D donor. She broke her ankle and died 2 weeks after the blood clots. She only made about three donations of anti-D. She died on the 1st of April 2005, April Fool's Day.
Even faced with tragedy, James kept donating blood and made sure to pass this passion on to his children.
Life goes on, and I know she would wanted me to keep going, and I've been doing that ever since. They were donors, and my daughter's a blood donor, and her husband's a donor, and the 2 kids are donors.
To date, James's blood has saved 2 million people. That's almost 9% of the entire Australian population. And yet, James isn't a household name. Frankly, I hadn't even heard of James before that Today I Learned post. To understand the impact James has had on other people, I spoke with Simon and April in Australia, whose children were born into happy, healthy lives because of anti-D.
Hi, my name's April.
And I'm Simon.
And we've been helped by anti-D. I love to tell people that the anti-D injection saved the life of our second child, Judah. We probably wouldn't have had him because he's got a different blood group to me. And so give him an extra cuddle, and love to tell people that he's here because of the anti-D.
Because of the tremendous work of James and various programs, rhesus was once life-threatening, and it's now easily preventable with a quick shot during pregnancy.
It's just an extra injection. You get so many needles while you're pregnant, and then it's just another needle.
It just feels like it's just part of the process these days, whereas in our parents' generation, it wasn't. And like there would be a lot of cases where kids would be born with brain damage or physical ailments, or even stillborn, because they didn't have that kind of treatment. And these days it just seems so simple, because when you go in through your midwife or your obstetrician appointments, it's just a tick of the box and a small injection, and it's done.
Even though this process seems like no big deal, there are still only a small number of anti-D donors in Australia. The reason James is special is not because he's a man with the golden arm, but because no matter what happened throughout his entire life, he was consistent and dependable with his donations. That is what made him a hero.
James has to be one of the most special blood donors that I've ever met. He's just incredibly dedicated. In the years that I've known him, he has been donating whenever he can. He used to make special journeys to donate. He'd take up a fair bit of his time. He would go on holidays and still donate. He'd find places to donate. He is the most incredibly dedicated and generous person that I've met, and he just keeps on giving.
Wherever I go, the nurses are great, and the head office is great, and as I say, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost me anything, so I keep going. Probably about 30 times a year I try to get in.
But there's no reason why so many people should be relying on James Harrison's blood alone. There are so many opportunities for us all to help out and make an impact in someone else's life and family.
Only 3% of Australians donate blood of any kind, and yet 87% of Australians are going to need a blood or a blood product in their lifetime. The life you save could be your own, or 5 minutes of your time could be a life for somebody else.
Not everyone needs to be a James Harrison. Not everyone needs to donate more than 1,000 donations. If everyone can give just a little bit, we'd have plenty for all, but we don't have to go as much as what he does.
I would like people to know that, giving blood, donating blood, it's just something that money can't buy. And so it needs to come from people. And I guess every donation then is a labor of love. And I, as a recipient, I'm just so thankful for everyone who does it.
I would say to Redditors that even if you can't donate blood, encourage other people to get the message out there as well. But the more that we all know about it, the more people will think about doing it, the more people will respond. So it's all about getting that message out there and doing something to help the community.
And it looks like we're doing a great job. Simon at the Red Cross emailed us after his interview and let us know that Redditors in Australia alone had saved 435 lives last year through blood donations. After a word from our sponsors, we'll hear from a Redditor who saw a post from former Reddit GM Eric Martin and was inspired to make a difference with his bone marrow transplant. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. I've already told you about the NYRD radio site. That was the podcast precursor to Upvoted. I've told you about the Culture Shock website. Really, Squarespace is pretty great. Their templates fit any aesthetic you're looking for, and their platform is easy to use. Squarespace will fit all of your needs. And a drag and drop interface, all really simple. And if you're tech savvy enough to download a podcast, you can build a website with Squarespace. Don't take my word for it though. A user named Reverend James, not sure if he's actually a reverend, said on Reddit, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm using it currently. It's a nice CMS and it's really simple to get set up. My website, mattgrossdesign.com, is still in progress, but it's finally helped me make the jump from having various profiles all over the internet to an actual site that I can show clients. That is pretty cool, right? All of this website goodness only starts at $8 a month. That's less than a meal at Chipotle, and you can have your own beautiful website. For a free trial with no credit card required, just head over to squarespace.com. When you like what you see, use the offer code UPVOTED and you'll get 10% off. You'll be getting a great deal and you will be helping to support Reddit and this podcast. That's squarespace.com, offer code UPVOTED.
Nearly 18,000 people in the U.S. die every year from not receiving a bone marrow transplant. My name is Zachary Meyer, and I participated in a bone marrow transplant because of Reddit. So about 3 years ago, like just after I first joined Reddit, there was this post by IronyX, and he was reaching out to r/assistants to try to get some help for his girlfriend's nephew who had a rare form of leukemia, I think it was. It was going to cost a whole bunch of money to get this kid cured of it. So he reached out to Reddit, and eventually it got picked up by Eric Martin. So he put it on r/everywhere, and by the time I saw it when I got home from work, the Redditors had just smashed right through their fundraising goal. So I saw this and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This kid is like the cutest kid I've ever seen. And he's got like the little word things and whatnot. This is amazing. I can't believe that all these anonymous people would just donate like $800, $500, even $1,000 to help this family out. This was just crazy to me. So I was like, man, I don't have any money really. Like I had like $3 to my name when I saw that post because I had just lost my job. But I still wanted to really help somehow. But they had said, like stop donating. We absolutely do not need any money. You guys are crazy and you're just giving us too much money. Just stop. So I was like, oh man, that's really great that this happened for them, but I want to help somehow too. So I read further down the blog post and it said, if you still want help, like you can help other people besides Lucas and IronyX, and go to bethematch.org and just like sign up. It's totally free, so it doesn't cost you or anything. I was like, okay, you know what? Why not? I read through the thing. It said like you have less than a 1% chance of ever being picked, and like that's of like the 2% of Americans that are actually registered. So I said, okay, whatever. I'll probably never be picked, and even if I am, I'll do it. So I just registered on the website bethematch.org, and they sent me a little cheek swab kit. So I got the thing, I rubbed it around in my cheeks and whatnot, and then I sent it back, and I just forgot about it. And then after a little bit, I found a new job and I come home from work and I just like opened up Reddit, went on Facebook and I got a little stoned because I like getting a little stoned every once in a while. And so I open up my email after a little bit and I see this one email. It's the only one I had in my inbox. It said, "Urgent, Zachary, you are a bone marrow match. Please respond ASAP." So I was like, "What is this? I don't know what this is." So opened it up and it said I was a match for a 10-year-old boy with leukemia. I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! Like I never win anything, and I get to do this today." So me in my stoned state, I went on Facebook and I told all my friends and everybody I know about this email I just got, and so I just closed it all down. And I went to sleep, and I woke up, and there was like 20 or 30 different likes and a whole bunch of different comments on this one status, and they were all like, "Wow, you're crazy! You're a hero! This is awesome for you." I was like, "Oh, no, I actually have to do this now." So of course I did it. I called back the organization DKMS Americas. I think they're called something else now, and they said they were really glad to hear from me, and they kind of got everything underway. They answered all of my questions about the surgery and the procedure and what everything needs to be done. And what really kind of threw me off about it was this all happened in like a matter of months. I got the email in March, and in May I went and had the surgery. So it was like as soon as I got the call, they sent me to a lab down here in Orlando to do some blood work. So that only took like maybe a week. And then right after that, I got on a flight up to DC to Georgetown University Hospital so they could do the physical there. And I was only there for like one night. I stayed in this really nice hotel that was right next to the hospital. And yeah, after that, I just flew back and we kind of got the itinerary down, and that took about 2 months total. And then like in May 21st, I think I flew back up to DC with a friend of mine, and that's when the surgery happened. And everybody was so awesome. Like it was, I had never been treated so nicely before. I'm not gonna lie, there is pain. It's surgery, but it wasn't that bad. I woke up and it felt, I'm all tired and groggy from the anesthesia. But really wasn't that bad. As long as I didn't move, I didn't feel much. So the surgery happened in the morning, and the next morning I was cleared to leave, and I just actually walked back to my hotel, which was about a mile away, but I made it. It wasn't a big deal.
As we also saw with James Harrison, heroes don't give just because of an emotional reaction. Rather, it's almost like it's in their blood. Zach didn't even get the chance to meet the recipient of his bone marrow transplant. But to Zach, that wasn't the point of any of this.
I never met him. DKMS Americas has a policy of not releasing any sort of information about the recipient or the donor, either or, just so like nobody would guilt me into doing it, and I couldn't contact the kid or his parents to get like a reward or anything like that. Which of course I would never do it, but I absolutely understand why they do it. I kind of would have liked to have talked to him just to get an update on how he's doing. He's doing fine, by the way. He made it through.
Zach's story really is a testament to show how the internet can be a bridge between all sorts of people and an immensely powerful tool for good.
If I had never seen Eric's blog post about this, I never would have done it. He told me to go to bethematch.org, and I was like, all right, I will do this just to help out in whatever way I can. Right after I told everybody about it, I got 2 or 3 people to sign up, uh, and uh, and they had asked me about the whole thing, and I was pretty honest with them about everything about what the procedure is like. Nowadays, they don't even really do surgery anymore. The whole part of me just being able to help somebody that really needed it, that's what made this decision so easy. I'm not a guy that really strives to be anything great. I don't want a whole lot out of life. I just wanted to help somebody somehow, and this was the best opportunity for me to do it. I definitely have to thank the user IronyX and Lucas for inspiring me to sign up to be a bone marrow donor. And I absolutely encourage everyone on Reddit to do it as well, because it wasn't a big deal for me, but it was definitely a big deal to the kid whose life I saved.
James and Zach left me very inspired after this episode and also feeling pretty lazy. It had been a few years since I'd given blood, so a few days after these interviews, I went to the Los Angeles Children's Hospital and I donated blood for the first time in a while. But before we get to that clip, here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Ting. Ting is an awesome cell phone provider that wants to provide you with excellent service at an even better price. Now see, what I didn't mention earlier was that they're actually big Redditors themselves. We spoke earlier this week to Jesse Sims, who is the content coordinator at Ting.
So I'm a huge Redditor. I've been a big fan for years. My username is Action Jesse. Dude, I'm kind of sad we didn't get Double Dick Dude, I just gotta say. I saw it and I was like, damn it, I wanted that one.
But before we digress, what's really cool about Ting is that they've built up a terrific subreddit and really try to give back to the Reddit community.
When we hit 1,000 subscribers, we gave away a Nexus 6. And we also, every time we do a device unboxing, we also give away devices there as well. So I know we gave one out on Reddit recently. If it's your cake day, you can actually post on the Ting subreddit and get $20 in Ting credit instantly.
They even gave beta tests to members of their subreddit, that's r/Ting, before anyone else.
We just launched a GSM beta, and we actually gave Redditors an exclusive beta invite that no one else had access to. So we kind of like giving this community a little bit of exclusive looks into things just because they really are so awesome and they're so helpful and they're so knowledgeable. Like, they know so much more than I do anyways, that it actually kind of blows my mind.
So if you're interested, just go over there, subscribe, and feel free to ping Jesse with a direct message with the username ActionJesse. That's ActionJesse, and let him know Alexis at Upvoted sent you. And when you decide to join Ting, go to upvoted.ting.com and get $25 in Ting credit. I just like saying Ting. Or $25 off of a new device. That is upvoted, upvoted.ting.com. Now, my trip to LA Children's Hospital for a blood donation. This is not a very hard procedure, right? This is, I'm going to walk out of here with a cookie in my mouth and some soda or some juice. It's going to take not very long at all. But is it helpful? How important is it for the hospital for people to be doing this?
It's very important. We need about 40 pints daily for our patients' needs, and we don't get that. So when we don't have, then we're short, and then we have to buy. And that, we only have so much budget. 3 squeezes and hold.
All right, so the needle is out, and I am looking away because I am so scared of needles.
1, 2, 3, there we go.
There we go.
Open your palm.
Okay.
Light squeeze every 5 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
10, every 5 to 10 seconds.
All right, you just tell me how well I'm
Gently
bleeding.
Squeezes, okay?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. It's already in.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna look.
You're on your way.
Can I tell you a secret?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the first time I gave blood, and it was in high school. The reason I gave blood in high school was because there was a really cute girl that I had a crush on named Rucha, who was going to give blood, and I wanted to impress her and be like, yeah, I'm going to give blood too. Awesome. Sure, I got this. And guess who fainted? This guy.
He's finished.
That was a satisfying and relatively pain-free experience, and I got a delicious cookie afterwards. I highly encourage all of you listening to at least consider donating blood sometime soon. If for nothing else, do it for the cookies. And by the way, James Harrison, he doesn't like needles either.
I have never watched the needle go into my arm. I look at the ceiling, I look at the nurses, I'd probably be squeamish too.
If James Harrison, a man who has donated blood over 1,000 times, can do it regardless of his fear of needles, you can do it once and overcome it as well. Please join me and give up a pint of blood. Tweet a picture of yourself donating to @upvoted, which is our new official Twitter account. And if you do it in the next month, I'll send a Pebble Watch to a lucky Redditor with the best picture. We will all decide amongst ourselves here at the team. Never forget to share your experiences too. Post them in the thread for this episode along with your usual awesome feedback. You never know who is reading, and maybe the decision to share your story could lead to the next Zachary Meyer. And before we go, one big thank you to the Australian Red Cross for all of the info and all the interviews, as well as a thank you to the nurses of the LA Children's Hospital for putting up with me being such a wimp. We'll see you next week on Upvoted by Reddit.